This is a situation where you were trying to get Mr. Depp to pay attention to you. Isn't that right?
No, I was trying to stop him from using.
And because he ran away from you at the first sign of trouble, you call him a monster,
I was trying to stop him from turning into the monster. The drugs are the key that opened the door.
Who was the real monster in this relationship, Ms. Heard?
Lives in Johnny, half of Johnny. It's not all of Johnny. The other half of him is wonderful and beautiful and the man I love.
I'd like you to take a look at Plaintiff's Exhibit 120F. There's another set of text messages between you and Mr. Depp. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm going to move to admit and publish.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 120F in evidence. You can publish.
This is a set of text messages, and it's from October 2015. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
In fact, you sent all of these messages to Mr. Depp on October 22nd, 2015. Isn't that right?
Exactly. Same thing was happening here.
And again, I'm not going to read them all, but you start off again by trying to get Mr. Depp's attention, right? You write, "Please come home."
I was trying to stop another bender.
You write, "Please come home," right?
That is correct.
"Please answer. Don't break us up. Please answer. Please." And continuing on page 97, you write, "Give me some piece of your heart. Please, no fight, I promise. Please, no fights. Please, just pick up. Please give me 2 minutes. I'm dying. Please." And continuing on page 98, you write, "Please come home. Please come home, Baba. I am so sorry." Actually, you didn't say Baba, you said baby. Apologies. And it goes on. Did I read those correctly?
That is correct. That was another time I'm trying to stop another twist off.
This is what would happen when Mr. Depp would try to take some space from you, right?
No, this is what would happen when Johnny had moved into the next phase of the cycle, decided to use,
No,
and our
Ms.
lives
Heard.
were getting a lot worse at that
Ms.
point.
Heard, I'm talking about your actions. This is what you would do to Mr. Depp when he would leave you. You would harangue him.
I would try
Isn't that
to-
correct? You
I
would
would try-
harangue him.
Your Honor, at least let her answer the question. She interrupted you.
That's fine. Go ahead and answer the question.
I do not think I would characterize my behavior that way. I was trying to stop him from using.
You were texting him incessantly. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
It was imperative for my life.
Ms.
It was
Heard,
very
my
important
question is
to me.
much more simple. You were texting him incessantly.
I would
Yes
try
or no?
everything to
Ms.
get a hold
Heard?
of him and
So
to
that's a
stop the
yes.
cycle.
That's a yes, right?
I would try everything to stop the cycle. It was that important to me.
And he's the monster for not responding to you,
That's not what made him the monster.
for
No.
needing space from you.
The monster was not the guy who needed space. The
Not
monster
for
was
doing
who
drugs.
he was when he came back.
Not for doing drugs, Ms. Heard. Not for being violent. Just for needing space. That's when you called Mr. Depp the monster.
Incorrect.
You were sitting here in this courtroom when Officer Melissa Sines testified by deposition about being called to the Eastern Columbia building on May 21st, 2016, right?
I saw her testimony, yes.
And you heard Officer Sines testify that she did not see any injuries on you that night, correct?
I heard her testify she did not consider this injured.
No. Miss Officer Sines testified that she met with you and she did not see any injuries on your face. Isn't that correct?
She did not consider this injury.
Ms. Heard, my question is a bit more nuanced.
So is my answer.
My question is more nuanced. You sat in this courtroom while Officer Sines testified that she saw you the night of May 21, 2016, face to face, and didn't see any injuries on your face. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
I believe she was testifying about these photographs, and she said that I was not injured in them.
Is it your testimony under oath now that Officer Sines testified that she saw injuries on you when she saw you in person on May 21?
Sorry, let me clarify. I was testifying that I know that that's what Officer Sines said, that she didn't consider my red, puffy face injured. That's what she said.
The red, puffy face, that was your counsel's question, correct?
That was
She
her
said-
testimony in the UK.
That's incorrect, and you know that, Ms. Heard.
I disagree.
It's just inconvenient for you that Officer Science didn't see injuries on you on May 21, 2016.
It
Isn't
doesn't
that right?
matter what's convenient for me.
Right. Officer Tyler Haddon also testified by deposition about being called to the Eastern Columbia building on May 21, 2016, and he also testified no injuries on your face on May 21, 2016. Isn't that correct?
They both said that they did not consider me injured.
They did not see injuries on your face on May 21, 2016. Isn't that what their testimony was?
What their testimony was is that they did not consider what my face looked like to be injury. They didn't consider what they walked on in the house damage, but it was.
You were sitting here when Officer William Gatlin testified by deposition about being called on May 21 to the Eastern Columbia building, and he also did not observe any injuries on you, did he? And that's what he testified to.
He didn't even know which one I was.
No, I think we all saw on video camera you identify yourself. Isn't that correct?
I had to because of how far away he was. He didn't even know who he was
But
there
after
to
you
see.
identified yourself, he looked at you. Isn't that correct?
From a distance, yes.
And he didn't see any visible injuries either, did he?
I don't know what he saw.
He testified that he didn't see any visible injuries, did
I
he?
would believe that he didn't, yes.
You were also in this courtroom when Alejandro Romero, who worked at the front desk at the Eastern Columbia building, testified about seeing you on May 25th, 2016. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. I think he said the 25th.
Yeah. And Mr. Romero testified that he didn't see any swelling or bruises on your face when you were talking to him at the front desk.
He wouldn't have.
No, he wouldn't have, even though he had a habit, because his parents taught him correctly, to look into someone's eyes when speaking to them. Isn't that correct?
I know that's what he testified to, yes.
You testified yesterday that you sought a temporary restraining order on May 27th, 2016 because you wanted to change your locks. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, I do.
Those locks were to the penthouses at the Eastern Columbia building. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
But you changed the locks to the penthouses on May 22nd, 2016.
I attempted to.
That's why you felt comfortable having James Franco over the evening of May 22nd, 2016, Ms. Heard?
I do not know when James came over.
Okay, let's remind you. Let's go back to that recording. It's Defendant's Exhibit 598. So you testified that you and Mr. Depp were in the car outside of his studio. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were trying to prevent him from going into his studio to do drugs, right?
Yeah, to effectively start another cycle.
Right. Not that Mr. Depp was just trying to go into his house to see his daughter, right?
His daughter might be one of the people that was in the house at that time, but that's neither here nor there. That wouldn't have
testimony is now,
prevented him
Mr.
from entering a cycle.
Your testimony is now that Mr. Depp does drugs in front of his children?
Well, first of all, I know he does. Second of all, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have stopped him from using with his friends, which is the problem, not whether or not his daughter was there.
Okay. This is a photograph of you taken inside the courthouse when you obtained the DVRO, correct?
That's correct.
And your friend Raquel Pennington took this photograph?
Yes, that's correct.
Because you needed to document your time at the courthouse getting a DVRO?
She just took a picture of me. I'm assuming it was in relation to my divorce, yeah.
If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 801, which has already been admitted into evidence. Ms. Heard, this is another photograph of you taken inside the courthouse, isn't that right?
That is correct.
Were you having a photo shoot inside the courthouse while you were getting a DVRO?
I would not characterize it that way, Ms. Vasquez.
You have a mark on your face, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes.
You didn't use your bruise kit this time to cover it up?
No, it was the only day I actually walked out of my house without makeup on. I had to be stopped. My best friend saw me in the bathroom starting to put makeup on and told me not to.
All right. You also wrote, quote, "Imagine a powerful man as a ship like the Titanic. That ship is a huge enterprise. When it strikes an iceberg, there are a lot of people on board desperate to patch up holes, not because they believe in or care about the ship, but because their own fates depend on the enterprise." In this op-ed, you're saying Mr. Depp is a ship, right?
I'm making an analogy to a powerful man as a ship.
The powerful man you're referring to in this analogy is Mr. Depp, right?
I was talking about a bigger issue actually than just Johnny. I was talking about what we as a country were talking about at the time of writing this, which is when powerful men in general do something horrible or something they shouldn't, how there is a system in place to protect them, clean up after them, maintain them afloat. You know, this is a reference to not just Johnny, it was about what was happening as a culture when we were addressing a lot of Me Too issues for the first time.
The iceberg is you in this analogy, right, Ms. Heard?
I would not say that. That was not what I intended to know.
So this is another reference to your accusations against Mr. Depp.
No, this is about what happened to me once I left that relationship and got a TRO and became associated with domestic violence.
Right. But it's your testimony that this op-ed isn't about Mr. Depp, right?
It's about what happened to me after. That's correct.
It's about your experience after obtaining a temporary restraining order against Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct, among other things.
But it's not about Mr. Depp.
It is not about him.
Mr. Depp is making it about Mr. Depp, right?
Ironically.
It's kind of like that Carly Simon song, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't know what you mean.
Let's talk about the defamatory statements in the op-ed that you also claim are not about Mr. Depp. Then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out. This is about Mr. Depp, isn't it?
No.
You wrote this in 2018, right?
Exactly.
And 2 years prior was 2016, right?
That's true.
Okay.
That's correct.
So
it's not about
May of
Johnny. It's about what happened to me
Ms.
after.
Heard, my question was May of 2016 is 2 years prior to December of 2018, correct?
That's correct.
All right. May 2016 is when you publicly accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence, right?
I got my restraining order at that time.
And you publicly accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence.
Yes, that was attached to my restraining order, so yes.
May of 2016 is when you sought a restraining order against Mr. Depp.
That's correct, and I had to
May-
provide testimony for that.
Right. And May 2016 is when you walked into court with a mark on your face to obtain that restraining order. Yes or no?
That was the day I walked into court with a bruise on my face, yes.
And you were photographed with that mark on your face, weren't you?
I walked out to a bunch of photographers, yes.
May 2016 is when you told the world that Mr. Depp had physically abused you during your relationship. Isn't that right?
That I had to provide testimony as part of my restraining order application, yes.
And that's how you became a public figure representing domestic abuse. Right, Ms. Heard?
From that point on, yes.
That's when you claimed you faced our culture's wrath,
That's
right?
when it started, yes.
But it's your testimony under oath that this statement is not about Mr. Depp.
It is not. It is about what happened to me afterwards. Was the more interesting thing for me to write about.
So on December 19th, 2018, you tweeted, quote, "Today I published this op-ed in the Washington Post." Did I read that right?
That is correct.
And the tweet includes a link to the op-ed we were just looking at, correct?
That's correct.
And you can see that the title of the op-ed in your tweet is, quote, "Opinion, Amber Heard. I spoke up against sexual violence." Right?
Yes, you don't get to change the title of an article you're retweeting.
And that's the title that you put on your Twitter, correct?
I did not put it on my Twitter, no.
You linked it to your tweet.
I retweeted the article.
You published it.
I retweeted a link to an article that I wrote.
And you published it on your Twitter account. All right.
I retweeted it.
You testified yesterday that you didn't have any control over the title, and just now, of the op-ed when you retweeted it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
This wasn't a retweet, though, right?
A tweet? Perhaps not retweet. I'm not quite sure.
It was
guess
a
it
tweet.
was a tweet. I misspoke. Excuse me. Tweet, not retweet.
You included a link to the electronic copy of the op-ed in your tweet, right?
That's what I was trying to say earlier, and I might have misspoke. It's like I'm trying to attach it.
Right. So you included a link, right?
Yes,
to the
that's
op-ed.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So you must have seen the title of the electronic version of the op-ed before you tweeted it, right?
I may have. I just didn't notice it.
Not very careful about what you publish, are you, Ms. Heard?
I just didn't notice the title.
You didn't need to include the link to the electronic version of the op-ed in your tweet, did you?
How else would I have linked it?
Well, you didn't need to include the link to tell the world that today you had published this op-ed in the Washington Post about women who are channeling their rage and about violence and equality into political strength despite the price of coming forward, right?
I couldn't attach it with a paper clip.
No, but you didn't need to attach it at all to tell the world
Oh,
that
I see
you
what you're
had
saying.
published an op-ed.
No, the goal was to tweet about it and to provide a link so that people could read it.
The op-ed is in your name, right?
That's correct.
So if you had noticed the title of the electronic version of the op-ed before you included it in your tweet, you could have asked the Washington Post to change it. Isn't that right?
No, that's not.
But you didn't do that, right? You never asked the Washington Post to change the title.
I didn't notice it, and I didn't ask them, nor do I think I needed to.
At the bottom, do you see that there's another tweet from December 19th, 2018?
Yes, I do.
And in this one, it reads, I am honored to announce my role as an ACLU ambassador on women's rights. Did I read that right?
That's correct.
So you announced your ACLU ambassadorship the same day you posted the op-ed on your Twitter.
I think that was always the plan, is to attach the article with the announcement that I was an ambassador.
There was a lot of publicity about your relationship with Mr. Depp around the time Mr. Waldman made the 3 statements at issue, right?
I do not recall.
A lot of really negative publicity for you, Ms. Heard. Isn't that right?
There's been an ongoing smear campaign, yes.
An ongoing negative publicity campaign.
It's an orchestrated smear campaign.
You have no evidence of that, do you, Ms. Heard?
Just look me up, you'll see.
Let's take a look at some of that. This one was published on March 17th, 2020. Amber Heard slammed door into Johnny Depp's head, reveals new audio. Do you see that?
Yeah, these are more of the PR plans.
Let's go to 1270. This one was published on March 31st, 2020. Amber Heard to be sacked from Jason Momoa's Aquaman after Johnny Depp's controversy, reports. Do you see that?
I do.
We can go to Plaintiff's Exhibit 1271. See the title that says, Johnny Depp says ex-wife Amber Heard sliced his finger off, and it, quote, erupted like the Vesuvius?
I just don't know when that was. I've never seen that article.
We can go to 1272. This one was published on May 29th, 2020, and it says, when Amber Heard confessed to smashing a door into Johnny Depp's head, clocking him in the jaw. Do you see that?
I see that.
Going to 1275. This one was published on July 15th, 2020. Amber Heard stole my sexual assault story. Ex-aide tells libel trial. Do you see that?
This was Adam Waldman as well.
It doesn't say Mr. Waldman. It actually says Kate James also says she often received abusive text messages from Johnny Depp's ex-wife, doesn't it?
I just know because he threw down the article.
Ms. Heard, isn't that what that says?
Mr. Waldman threw the newspaper at me afterwards.
Ms. Heard, that's not my question.
What
My
was your
question
question? I'm
is-
sorry.
The title of the article says, Amber Heard stole my sexual assault story, ex-aide tells libel trial. Kate James also says, Your Honor, she opened the door by saying it was Adam Waldman.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
I can't promise you that I'll be perfect. I can't promise you I won't get physical again. God, I fucking sometimes get so mad I lose it. I can fucking promise you I'm gonna do everything to change. Promise you. I'm not gonna throw around divorce. I will not say divorce unless I leave you. Unless it's it. And then I hope you leave me. I'm not going to, and me too. I will leave you. It's fair. I can't do it, you know? And I think, honestly, if we hold each other accountable to that, it's fair.
Ms. Heard, that's you and Mr. Depp on that recording, correct?
That's correct.
And you told Mr. Depp, quote, "I can't promise you that I won't get physical," end quote. Correct?
That's correct. He was accusing me of instigating something in a situation I explained yesterday.
And you also told Mr. Depp that sometimes you get so mad you lose it, correct?
That's correct. I also explained the context of that fight yesterday.
Isn't that exactly what you told Ben King on your way back from Australia? That you get so mad you lose it?
Absolutely not. I know that that's what Ben King testified to, but I never had that conversation with Ben King.
If we could please
In the
play.
meantime, I'm sorry, I checked and I have no objection to the entirety of 356 coming
So
in.
356 in its entirety will be in evidence. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. If we could please play from what's now been admitted, Plaintiff's Exhibit 356 in its entirety from 705 to 743.
I'm not gonna be in a physical fucking altercation with you.
Then don't.
You fucking hit me last night. You fucking.
What about all the other times you split? Come on, you cannot act like that. It's about that. It's
Well,
not.
we're on a plane. I can't split.
No, and you hit back. So don't act like you don't fucking
I
participate.
pushed you.
I'm not going to get into the details of that fight. You and I both know that you split when there is no physical violence involved. And that you do it like at the very beginning of fights these days. And if you split and you go into a different room and you don't actually leave that house, it does nothing but perpetuate the fight. And you don't actually do it respectfully. You don't.
Ms. Hurd, is that you and Mr. Depp on this recording?
Yes, it is.
Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 343? And I believe that one's been admitted already into evidence.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And just for the record, we're playing from 24601 to 24720.
I said to Travis. I said to you, hey, tell Travis what just happened.
Oh, you told me to do it. You told me to. You said, go do that.
I said no. Tell him what just happened.
And I lied.
And that you punched me in the
You're right.
fucking thing. And
You figured
in
it
the
out.
face. And you said, no, fucking, no, I didn't. What the fuck are you talking about? And I watched you lie. And then
I didn't punch you, by the way. I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched.
Don't tell me what it feels like to be punched.
You know, you've been in a lot of fights. You've been around a long time. I know. Yeah.
No, when you fucking have a close.
You didn't get punched. You got hit. I'm sorry I hit you like this, but I did not punch you. I did not fucking deck you. I fucking was hitting you. I don't know what the motion of my actual hand was, but you're fine. I did not hurt you. I did not punch you. I was hitting you.
How are you?
What am I supposed to do? Do this? I'm not sitting here bitching about it, am I? You are. That's the difference between me and you. You're a fucking baby.
Because you started.
You are such a baby. Grow the fuck up,
Because you started
Johnny.
physical fights.
I did start a physical fight.
Yeah, you did. So I had to get
Because-
the fuck out of there.
Yes, you did. So you did the right thing, the big thing. You know what? You're admirable.
That's you and Mr. Depp on that recording, right, Ms. Hurd?
That's correct.
And you said you hit Mr. Depp, right?
Yeah, I had to hit his body to get
Ms.
him out
Hurd,
of the door.
my question was, you said on that recording that you hit Mr. Depp, right?
Yes, I did.
And you accused him of being a baby for not wanting to be in a physical fight with you, right?
Incorrect. I accused him of being a baby for complaining about me hitting him when he was trying to get through the door. I was trying to barricade.
Next thing that I'm going to play to you as Hugh. Would you listen to this, please? This is punching. It's one of them, right? This is punching. Let's skip one. Where's the desk?
Accidentally, I swear, when I was trying to close the door, I guess I stretched your toes. I didn't really do that. I bent down. And you either pushed or you kicked the door open. I mean, step with the door, get more open. So that you
But I did not mean to do that. I don't know.
I did not do anything to her. I did not kick at the door or push the door so that it would hit you. I did not. I swear. I mean, that did not. It was not my intention. I think I remember when the door scraped my toes.
Okay. So you told him in that excerpt that you hit him with the door but did not intend to hit him, correct? Did you say that?
I said whatever I said in that recording. I
Okay.
don't. When you play it for me, it's hard for me to remember every single.
And that's a recording marked as exhibit the punching.
Q. It was
Q.
just played.
Q. Would you continue to listen to exhibit Q?
Are these from the same day?
I reacted, but this whole the door thing, I remember. I never did that. That wasn't on purpose. I might have done it on accident.
Okay. Let's say that was an accident. I then stood up. I don't even know if I said, I might have said, like, what the fuck? You know, whatever. I just been hit in the head with the fucking corner of the door.
I'm so sorry. I did not. I'm sorry.
And then I stood up. And then you felt the clock.
I remember hitting it as a response to the door thing.
That's exactly what I just told us.
And I'm really sorry about hitting you with the door or hitting your head. I did not mean to, nor.
You didn't need to hit me in the head with the door, but you meant to
I did.
punch me in the jaw.
I meant to hit you, and I did not do this thing with the door. I do remember. I did mean to hit you.
So that you didn't mean.
The door? No, God, no.
But punching me in the jaw.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So on the tape, you tell Johnny Depp that you did mean to hit him.
And it also misrepresents what actually happened, which is him trying to get into a room I'm trying to keep him out of. And then he runs the door over my toes, trying to get into the room. I tried to push him out of it, which is what the hit is referred to. And Johnny, whenever he was injured or touched, it always referred to it in these ways of punching or clocked or whatever. And whether you discussed it with him or not, the last thing you do in talking to him afterwards or trying to reconcile with him is to get into what the definition of those words mean to him. I never even addressed it. If he was ever pushed, it was a quote. He called it a cold clock. I mean, it's just very dramatic.
Isn't it true?
You're smiling as that audio recording is being played in your deposition, aren't you, Ms. Heard?
Not smiling because of the audio. I'm smiling because of what's happening around me.
You even roll your eyes at one point, don't you?
I was sitting opposite a whole table full of lawyers who were snickering, laughing, and rolling their eyes at me while I was talking.
Is there something amusing about kicking a door into your husband's head?
No, I was rolling my eyes and commenting on what I was experiencing at that time in recounting the story.
Is there something amusing to you about punching your husband in the jaw?
That is not what I was smiling about, and no, I do not think it's amusing.